trying to push it. Is it bending?
Push it a little bit more and it will. Oh, it's
Is
falling.
it?
Ah!
We are in Pisa. Today is our first day in Pisa and probably the only day we have here. But this town is so nice. It's very old and very small, and all the buildings here look really old.
We're right now at one of the many piazzas in the city, and everything is so immaculate. Look at this.
I like how all these buildings are like yellow in color, all pastel shades, and they have plants in front of them. And it's super windy today, so it's feeling really cold.
Yeah.
Did you look? There's a pillar here with a man sitting on top. Wonder what that is.
Right there. We're actually staying in the very center of the old town area. I think this is the most impressive location we've ever had on our trip so far, and it's just so easy. We step out and we're already in core Pisa, and we're only about 400 meters now from the most important and iconic attraction,
The
You know
Leaning
which-
Tower of Pisa.
So yesterday we took a bus from Rome and drove out all the way here to Pisa. The journey is normally supposed to take about 3.5 hours, but our bus ride took about 5.5 hours because of the number of stops it made. The good thing though was that we got to see a bit of the beautiful Tuscany countryside while on the way.
We got to see the rolling hills, full lush green in color, and in the far we could see these pointy trees, which we learned is actually called as the cypress trees. They're one of my favorite trees in the world now.
They're the most iconic trees, the most iconic plant life here in Tuscany. And every picture that we'd seen on the internet and even in so many movies, that's the one that stands out. So it's so awesome to be here in Tuscany. And now we're in Pisa. We of course also passed through Florence, which is one of the main cities in the Tuscan region. But then we were so curious to come to Pisa, a much smaller city, because it has so much of interesting history. And from the looks of it, we've also just learned that it's a very busy student town.
We are now at the Leaning Tower of Pisa, which was actually built as just a clock tower for the cathedral in front of it.
So this tower is leaning today because originally when it was built, it was never intended to be like this. It was built as any normal straight towering building. But then over time, as the construction kept going further and further up, the soil began to allow this entire structure to sink and tilt to one direction.
And that's why the tower has now become the Leaning Tower of Pisa. This tower actually has 8 levels, and in all its levels you can see there are arched pillars surrounding the tower, and it's actually made up of white marble.
Weighs about 14,500 tons, explains why it was sinking into the very loose clay around here. We're actually very close to the sea, so at one time this was also a port because the river Arno flows right through it, or as the Italians say,
Arno.
So this tower took almost 200 years to finish. Originally, the construction began in the 1700s and it continued to sink during this entire time. During the many wars that took place between then and the 20th century, a lot of the construction was paused. And at that time, they say this actually helped stabilize the tower, otherwise it would have just collapsed. But anyways, in the 1990s, a lot of restoration work was done to hold this entire tower from falling apart, from falling down. And the tilt, which was originally 5.5 degrees, nearly from the central vertical axis, was reduced to about 4. So the tilt that is there now is about 4 degrees from the vertical center. When you go up in a straight line, the tilt is about 4 meters off from the very central axis. So that's the kind of tilting the Leaning Tower of Pisa has been up to all these years.
And you can see all around the tower there are people holding the tower like this,
Yeah.
trying to get all different kinds of photographs.
Yeah. A little more. Push it. It's a very busy spot. There's actually a ticket if you want to climb and go up. Of course, Shish and I are not going to climb up. It's so much more fun to see it from outside because its unique shape is best experienced. So it's also a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it's also neighbored by two other buildings, one of which you can actually see is also tilted. So this building is also in the same area as the Leaning Tower, but this one is actually tilting in the opposite direction. So the Leaning Tower of Pisa is on the other side of this wall, and it's tilting this way. And this one is in the exact opposite, but is not tilting towards the same side, but rather to the other. And this building is the baptistry. It's almost very slightly visible.
And this is the cathedral. This is also tilting, but not as dramatically as the Leaning Tower, just a little bit. The baptistry is the next one, which is more dramatic. See, on this side there's only 1.5 level of marble tiling on the wall, but on this side you have like 1, 2, 3, 5 levels of marble. So that's the difference. That's how much the tower has tilted. Crazy.
That's Galileo Galilei using the Leaning Tower of Pisa as a telescope.
Got a nice grave.
Again.
No guilt of eating ice creams in Italia.
How much have you been walking around?
I just checked my app and it says on an average you have been walking around 10 kilometers every day in the last 1 month.
We're back now in the old town. For the last couple of hours, we had just been walking around to the newer side of Pisa. It was just a nice way to spend some time. And now we're back in the old town because yesterday when we arrived here on the bus from Rome, we got to see the old town and its lights, and we thought it was very beautiful.
So this entire old town is basically lit with big lamps everywhere, which looks like it's been there for like hundreds of years. And that's what makes this old town look very special at times. Just went back to the Tower of Pisa to watch it in the dark.
The lights had come on, which was very nice. And I know this is a very short vlog, but that's just what Pisa was. It was a pretty small town that we just wanted to take it slow and just walk around and soak in the place. And it was very nice.
Surprisingly, everything here gets shut at 7 o'clock in the night. Like literally all the shops are closed.
And the only places that are starting to open up are the restaurants.
And bars.
So we are walking back now to our friend's house, not very far from where we are right now.
But I must say that the Leaning Tower of Pisa is one of my favorite monuments in the world. I know it's nothing great, it's just a tower leaning, but it's so unique. Anyways, our plan for the next few days, we are heading to another country. In the next vlog, you can see that. And then from there, we'll be heading up north towards Venice and then exiting Italia.
So we'll see you again in the next vlog.
Bye.
Chiara is teaching us how to make pasta.
This house in the south.
Okay.
Pasta alla crema di broccoli. Muy bueno.
That just made Naveen very very happy. That was his high point of today, I'm sure.